Everyone, we're going to call the Wright County Board meeting on February 7th, 2017 to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good coordinator would have helped me with that one.
We didn't even notice.
I was hoping we could match all day today, Charlie.
Okay. The minutes from County Board meeting of January 24th of 17. I did have one little thing that I thought, and we're going to be talking about it today, but right on the front part of it where it talks about the donation to UMC, I just think we should add in there UMC of Monticello, just in case people don't know. It's a company.
On the first page?
Yeah, right on the very first page under the part that says agenda.
Petition day.
Chief Deputy Hoffman petitioned it on.
I see, thank you.
So it's just in UMC, I think that is what they go by, but it's Ultra Machining Corporation, so, but from Monticello.
I'll make a motion to approve
I'll second that.
with the changes.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Delighten, second by Commissioner Vetch. Any further discussion or changes? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. The consent agenda and,
Agenda.
The agenda first.
the agenda, okay, excuse me. The agenda for today.
I'll make a motion to approve today's agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, now the consent agenda, and Tammy, you had a change on one item, I understand?
Yep. Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. We do have one change to the claims list. There was one duplicate payment found, and so the paperwork that you received previously had an amount of $861,916.82. That has been changed to $861,811.82. It was a $105 duplicate payment.
Okay, thank you, Tammy.
And that was $861,811.82.
Tammy, where was the duplicate?
It was an admin, it was a towing fee, I think is what, yeah, a $105 towing fee.
Okay.
So there'll be 548 transactions then?
Yes, 548 transactions as opposed to 549. Junction towing and auto repair.
Okay, then with that, does anyone have anything that they would like to remove from the consent agenda for further discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, as
Amended.
With amended with the change, yep.
okay, thank you, Commissioner Delighten, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
There is one, it's a typo for Doug Triplett's name under soil and water, P, on the consent agenda.
Reappoint Doug Triplett.
Oh, what's the correct spelling?
TRIP, I think is it LLET or?
We might want to check on that. Is that okay, Susan?
Double check the spelling of Doug Triplett, but
Okay.
there's a couple of different ways to spell, and I don't think that's correct.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. I think we'll take care of that at the office. And it is at least 9:03 there, so timed agenda, we have Tammy filling in for Bob again.
She takes a lot of vacations. By the way, who's that strange person next to you?
I found her on the street.
Did you? Well, that's nice of
She'd
you.
be pretty good. Yeah.
Welcome back.
It is nice to have
Looks
her
like
back.
half the person she used.
She's minus one person.
Minus one.
Again, good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. The only item that we have today is to approve the tax forfeiture committee minutes. We had a tax forfeiture meeting, committee meeting back on January 24th, and so we were just asking that you approve those minutes.
Okay, with that, Mr. Chair, I'll approve the tax forfeit committee minutes of January 24th.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Any further discussion on that item? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. And we are pleased, privileged, I should say, to have Judge Davis with us today. And she's going to say some real inspiring words, right?
Good morning. I'm the privileged one. Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Thanks for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you this morning. We do have an exciting event planned, and I wanted to share some information with you about it. In collaboration with the Wright County Court Administration, the Sheriff's Department, Health and Human Services, the Law Library, Public Defender's Office, Court Services, local city attorneys, and Central Minnesota Legal Services, we're planning a Law Day celebration. And we're planning to hold that celebration on May 1st here at the courthouse and the Government Center. The day will consist of information booths, presentations by local agencies, canine demonstration, courthouse tours, and free law clinics. The law clinics are going to be facilitated by volunteer attorneys and are designed to allow the public to receive information about a pending family or civil case, file a new case, or gain more information about how they can solve a problem they're having related to landlord-tenant, family divorce, custody, harassment, or expungement. Law Day will also include a clinic related to driver's license issues, which will allow the public to pay fines, pay reinstatement fees, and gain further information about what they need to do to accomplish restoration of their driving privileges. And last but not least, Law Day will also include an opportunity for the public with low-level warrants to come in on that day and clear up some of these warrants with the prosecutors and public defenders being present to help them do that. As I mentioned, we're working together with our stakeholders and many county agencies to help make this event a success. And I'm here today to ask for your support and to ask for your approval of our Law Day celebration. We're really hoping to make it a forum that's open to the public throughout the Government Center and the courthouse and allow for distinguished community members such as yourself to come and do some meet and greets and meet the public. Our planning includes a marketing campaign, so you can expect to see posters, flyers, news releases, and maybe even some tweets about our upcoming event. So again, hopefully we're here today asking for your support and to gain your approval for this event.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve that Law Day.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Houston, second by Commissioner Lyden. And I did have one thing. Have we ever had this before? Is this a new?
We have had Law Day celebrations. Law Day is obviously a national event that happens across the United States, but they've been more confined to the law library or to smaller clinics related to sole issues.
So this is the first year that we've kind of had a county-wide
It is.
kind of thing, so.
It is.
No, because I haven't heard of it since
Right.
I've been on, so.
Yeah.
No, I think it's great. I'm really looking forward to it. so.
Good. Well, it's May 1st. We don't know the exact times, probably 10 to 2, 10 to 2:30. So hopefully you can all come down and join the public.
But it will be kind of it'll be in all the different
It
departments.
will. We're
that-
hoping that we can use some of the space in the Government Center to set up information booths. We have reached out to Mr. Kelly. We've reserved some conference rooms for our clinic space. Then some of it will happen up in the courtrooms. Again, like we're going to have canine demonstrations by the Sheriff's Department. Hopefully the weather will be nice so they can do those outside. Presentations by the county attorney, presentations by the judges. We'll have some sort of Ask a Judge forum, presentation on our new drug court, which you're familiar with. So we're excited. We're in the infancy stages. We've developed a big committee and some subcommittees to start developing this, which I think the subcommittee meetings start this week. So.
Well, we're excited to attend. so.
And if you have any ideas, any suggestions, we welcome those. So thank you.
Are you going to be holding court that day at all, or not?
There will be court that day. It'll be minimal for the things that are required to be heard, I think. Some of the judges will be handling some of those calendars where people can come in and clear up their warrants. But I think, yes, there will also be regular calendars, but we're going to try to keep them to a minimum. It is a Monday, so that is generally a busy day for us in the courthouse. But the sheriff is on our committee, and we're working with them to minimize some of those disruptions.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have the motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you
you.
very much, Judge. Come down anytime. And should we, a little early yet, Virgil, maybe we should hold off just a second. Do you want, Mike, would you want to do the building committee?
As soon as I find it in here.
Okay.
No, it needs that.
Unless Leah's ready for a committee of the whole meeting? Whoever finds it first.
Your call.
Lee, are you
I
ready?
can go if you want.
Why don't we do that? We'll have Lee do the committee of the whole.
All right. Mr. Chair, we did an owners committee of the whole back in December the 15th, and this was the kickoff to the courts project. Quite a few attendees at this meeting representing the county board, all 5 commissioners, plus commissioner-elect at the time, Vetch, was in attendance. I think we had about 25 staff from court administration, representatives from court services, county attorney's office, IT, administration, highway department, sheriff's department, and health and human services. And one member of the public, and also BKV's design team was there. The first item we talked about was kind of an overview and talked through some of the staff's questions on the project. BKV talked about it's estimated to be about 100,000 square foot facility built onto the existing jail LEC. The timeline, schematic design will be December of 16 through April of 17. Design development from May of 17 to September of 17. Construction documents will be developed October of 2017 through February of 2018. Bidding will be March and April of 2018, and hoping to be working on construction starting approximately May of 2018. Bruce and BKV's team responded to quite a few questions from those in attendance. In a quick summary, they talked about, kind of some of the preliminary ideas for layouts, where courts would be located, how things would be separated from the public and staff. Parking was talked about, and talked about windows, HVAC systems were also brought up. So a quick summary there. Great deal of time was also spent talking about the expectations of the clients, both the board and the stakeholders and the bench and judges. The county is interested in making a facility that reflects our conservative population, something that's going to be long-lasting, very durable and functional, but certainly not Taj Mahalish. And we are interested in having a facility that, if it needed in the future, could be expanded as well. The bench stated that security is definitely a priority, as well as accessibility to all folks that would visit the courts. Courtroom AV and technology has become a big issue, so that was a priority. And lastly, the facilities department, we kind of talked about a little bit the existing geothermal fields and how we don't know that it would be good to tie into those at this time. And we'd like to work in some backups mechanically to the existing facility if possible. Other brief overview points, we talked about communications between BKV will be handled by myself, copying Monica Jumper, the courts administrator. Talked a little bit about procurement methods, site review, and talked about some of the interesting things with the site out there. Currently, it's owned by the county. Of course, we've done a fair amount of gravel mining in that area. Talked about if Highway 25 would be an access possibility and the area kind of around there. So BKV then talked a little bit of overview of the National Center for States Courts study and assumptions that were made there. And subsequently, we have had meetings talking about reviewing that programming that was done by them. So last thing there, just kind of an overview of some of the upcoming things and the stakeholders and responsibilities provided on that table there. So with that, Mr. Chair, a very quick overview of the minutes.
Okay, great job. We have a motion to accept those committee minutes.
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Houston, second by Commissioner Delighten. Any further discussion? I think Lee did a good job.
Yep, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. And I think, Virgil, we're ready for you now. And then Mike, just remind me to go back to building.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Good morning,
Morning.
Morning, Chairman
Virgil.
Burrell and Board of Commissioners. I have one item today for your consideration. It's to approve the Transportation Committee of the Whole meeting minutes from January 23rd and act on recommendations. The agenda item for this meeting was City of Waverly project along our Highway 9 on the east side of Waverly Lake. And I'll just go over a summary of the meeting minutes. City of Waverly is planning to install sanitary sewer along the east side of Waverly Lake to address their sanitary sewer issues. They were planning to do the project this year in 2017, but it requires rebuilding Highway 9, in which case we were planning to contribute $400,000 just for the pavement for that project. Now, the purpose of the meeting with Waverly on January 23rd was to discuss changing the scope of that project to include rebuilding Highway 9 to state aid standards, which would include a pedestrian trail separated from the roadway, which would be safer for pedestrians. And in doing that, it would increase the project cost about $1 million to $1.4 million, and that would be a county cost. After a lot of discussion at the meeting, it was a consensus of the committee that a recommendation be made to the board to support the City of Waverly's project by bringing this portion of Highway 9 up to state aid standards, including a separated trail, and to provide the additional funding for this project, at which time the funding source would be determined at a later time.
Okay, thank you, Virgil. And then I would, if it's all right with the rest of the board, like to make one little change, and it's probably not a biggie, but page 2, well, if you count that first part, 2, 3, fourth paragraph down, about 5 lines in, Burrell stated his preference for raising the levy instead of local option. I think the point I was getting across is that I was not in favor of the local option at this time, so maybe if we could just word it that way, if everybody's okay with that. I don't think I was out there wanting to raise taxes, but I think I was just, if we did, though, need to raise levy, like we have for highway in the past, we've raised not the levy per se, but your budget $2 million, and it kind of came from the property tax system,
So that sentence, I should rewrite that?
Or
to say-
just to say, Burrell stated his preference for not.
For raising the levy instead of a
Yeah.
local option. So I don't know, it kind of states what you said.
No, but I think I wasn't in favor, it makes it sound like I'm in favor of raising taxes, and I wasn't. I just leave the system the way it is.
If you
So
had to
I
choose
would not be in favor of a local option sales tax at this
You
time.
preferred raising the levy
Leaving
over
things
the-
alone, yeah.
Okay.
But I probably did say that, but that was not,
Yeah.
it makes it sound like I was in favor of raising taxes, and so.
Do we have
I
to
thought
use the
you
L
were.
word on you?
No, not at this time, anyway, so if we could do that.
I don't have a problem with that.
The only thing I didn't see on here is about Waverly taking ditch 38.
And that
Oh,
was,
come on, Connie. You got to give me credit for at least trying.
He's consistent in his request.
did anyone else have any?
No, Mr. Chair, if you want to do motion that first? Or discussion?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for the public to go with this, the trail program in the county was adopted before any of us were on the board here. And it includes going around Waverly Lake, Howard Lake, and a bunch of other places. I believe it's on the website. You can get links to that. Mark Batice, that the bikes and trails and the paths, all that, because around Waverly Lake was included in this. So all we're doing with this is basically following through with what a prior board said we were going to do. And the way I look at it is if we're not going to do what we told the public we were going to do even before we're here, why are we spending the money on these studies if we don't plan on following through with them? Also with the city of Waverly, we have to preserve our natural resource, that's the lakes, keep them clean. And the people, the citizens of Waverly deserve something safe when they're out for a walk around that lake. I think it's money well spent by the county, and it will serve more than just citizens of Waverly. Those people in the rest of the county that pass through there to go to whatever destination they're going to deserve to have a safe road. So I am supportive, whether it's levy or sales tax option, whatever way we need to get this done, because this is not the only project in the county this is gonna come up. We're gonna have these, a lot of places, and we have a lot of safety improvement projects that need to come up, and they all need the same thing. They all need money.
I think that's a good point, Commissioner Potter. The one thing that we did talk about is we have some other options, possibly some turnback dollars and maybe just some savings from other departments. So we'll look at all of that, and then when it comes budget time, we'll make sure that you're whole, Virgil.
Okay.
Okay. And then I did have one other question. Did you have anything
Yes,
else?
I've done. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Also on page 2, right above the paragraph, so it'll be the third one down, where Steve Bott from St. Michael was talking. As the ADTs rise, what is ADTs? And I probably should know.
Average daily traffic.
Average daily
Traffic volume.
Okay. Could we put that in parentheses, just,
Sure.
okay.
I could just, as traffic volumes rise, that would be more clear.
Okay, there you go. Okay. Yeah, it was kind of an insider thing there a little bit for the,
And what was the traffic count on County 9 at that point? I know it's,
3,000,
I think around 3,000.
so, yeah, so it's quite high, so we know that it's not the residents,
Not only
that
the
there's a lot of people using that road. So, and that was one of the reasons why we wanted to get up to state aid standards, because of the traffic
it's a
volume.
popular route from Buffalo heading south, that's for sure, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, it definitely is a public safety issue.
Okay. And Virgil, I want to thank you for doing that on behalf of my district and the city of Waverly, because I think it is something that we really appreciate you looking into and doing the work that you've done on it. So,
Thank you. Welcome.
anything else?
I think it was great that we could kill two birds with one stone, getting, safety and the nice new improved road in the same one shot, so.
Right.
And still live up with the Parks and Trail that was supported, approved, and money spent from the county on to adopt.
Okay.
It's done.
And getting rid of ditch 38.
Thank you, Connie.
And did we have,
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the Transportation Committee meeting of the whole of January 23rd with the couple
Recommendations.
corrections that were noted
and the recommendation
and
too?
recommendations, yes.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Delighten. Any further discussion? Okay, thank you very much too, Virgil. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Virgil.
Yeah, and just for clarification, we didn't include ditch 38, did we?
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure, just so that you're more comfortable.
The official record
Mayor.
reflects
The
that
record
we did
reflect
not.
Even though I think you did make mention of it at the meeting, but I think it was in jest.
So there's no ribbon cutting for ditch 38 going back to Waverly then, huh?
We're gonna, I think
Not
Waverly-
yet,
Not
not
yet.
yet.
I think it's mostly in Montrose anyway, so we'll have to negotiate that. All right, Mark Mattice, we have 9:25 exactly. Good thing we stalled for a little bit here.
Otherwise, we've got into committee meetings, and
Yeah.
I've been sitting there for an hour.
Are you limping a little bit there?
I'm getting old.
And hitching his giddy up.
Sorry.
Yeah, they're hitching my giddy up. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. A couple items on the agenda for you today. Federal Recreation Trail Grant announcement came out about a month ago. We brought this to the Bertram Chain of Lakes Advisory Committee. We'd like to apply for that grant, and in front of you today would be a support resolution for the Federal Recreational Trail Grant. Project would be for the purpose to complete a few miles of trails, single-track trails at Bertram Chain of Lakes. As you know, that's the only mountain bike trails we have in the county. Right now, we got about 10 miles on the trail. Our concept development plan, which was adopted, includes the single-track trails. We have a partnership with the Minnesota Off-Road Cyclists, MORC, since I believe 2013, that they do maintenance and they help with the design and development. They put money towards it each year. We've put $8,000 towards it the last couple of years, and they've put their $8,000 to it since 2013 for development and getting little sections done. Sustainable standards. It's a number 2 rated trail in the St. Cloud area, and it's part of the bronze medal for IMBA, which is International Mountain Biking Society. So we're covered by St. Cloud and Twin Cities as a ride center here at Bertram Chain of Lakes. What we're planning proposing to do is to take the $8,000 we typically budget the last few years and put that up for the county's cash match. Takes Mork's $8,000 that they've contributed the last few years, put that up as part of the match, and then volunteer labor as an in-kind for a $76,000 project that we're going to be looking at to complete the north section of those trails on the land that we purchased this spring, in June. The resolution is in front of you. The advisory council recommended putting this application in. They'll be writing a letter of support, as so will the city of Monticello and Minnesota Off-Road Cyclists.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve and support the adopt a resolution for the submittal of grant application for the DNR trail program.
Okay,
I'll second that.
motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Vetch. This is a resolution. Mark, do you want to start this one off and go toward Derek?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay,
The second item on my agenda is to set a committee meeting, and I left that up to you all to decide if you wanted that Finance CIP or Budget Committee of the Whole, Parks Committee of the Whole, to discuss Phase 1 development funding for the Bertram Chain of Lakes Park. As you know, we have a $700,000 grant with $225,000 of county match to go with that grant. We've completed portions of that Phase 1 development, and I brought to your attention before that the remodel turned into a reconstruction, which raised the cost of that one facility at the park. Have some thoughts and ideas on how to look at that without severe budget implications, and would like to have that reviewed, as we do have an RFP out right now for Phase 1, Part 2, and we should have those numbers coming into us by the 17th.
I would like to defer that. What do you think,
think it's
Commissioner
for the committee
Deline?
of the
What would you
whole.
recommend?
Yeah, I'd like to actually do it as a committee of the whole, and
that
I'd
sounds
actually like to
great.
do it out at that new building out there,
At the chalet?
at the chalet.
We would like to do that. We can do that,
Would that be okay,
because it
Mark?
would be great for y'all to see.
Well, then that's what I'm thinking, that way they
see what's
they
going
can
on.
actually see what's going on and what your thoughts are, and instead of
just-
having on
I've been there
Do
a
actual
couple
show
times,
and
but I
tell,
can,
that's kind of,
I think that's a good idea. Okay, do you have a date, any picked out at all, Mark? or-
Lee and I thought if we went committee of the whole, that we'd do it Tuesday after the board meeting, as you all are here at that time.
So I think we,
21st, or?
yeah, I think we discussed the 21st.
21st would be great.
of February?
Yes.
It'd have to be early because they library board that day, and it's a full calendar up there.
What time do you have library board?
11?
Well, 5 o'clock I start library up in
Oh,
St.
no,
Cloud.
we'd be done by then, I'm
Okay.
sure.
So I don't have a problem with 21st.
So if we were out there like at 11 or something like that?
Yeah, why don't we call it maybe 11 with travel time if we run a little over? You know, maybe it'll be 11:15 by the time we get there.
Because
but-
what would you think, Mark, an hour?
What
hour
I
and a half?
think and how,
Well,
I'd say a couple of hours you better plan for.
well then, okay, I'm
well, I was
just wondering
thinking
if we
15
should.
minutes.
Yeah.
11's still good. then we
So
can
probably an
catch a
hour is
high
good.
tide
How long
after,
does it
so.
say take for you to say?
Well,
give me?
an hour maybe inside, but an hour walking around,
Yeah, we'll
look
probably
at
have-
different things.
Probably want to go look at the site, the construction sites that are planned for 2018 and that footprint.
No high heels
So
that day.
an hour,
Christine.
No high heels.
hour and a half.
Okay,
your
and that
boots.
will be right at Bertram.
Boots, huh?
Okay, sounds good. So
9842 Briarwood Avenue Northeast, Monticello.
9842?
Yep.
And what was the name of the street?
Briarwood Avenue Northeast in Monticello,
Or-
so that the agenda can reflect the proper location.
Charlie, you're gonna love this building, it's a nice gym.
Really?
It
Okay,
is.
sounds good. Okay, is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Lyden. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. You know,
Last items on the agenda is the January 2017 Park Commission recommendations. With the new building at Bertram, we need to modify the fee schedule for the recommendation by the Parks Commission of a rental fee of $175 per day. So I'd like, if we could refer that to the public hearing. I believe that Lee is setting up for modifications to the fee schedule.
Yes, that's correct.
I'll make a motion to modify the fee schedule to include rental fees for the Bertram Chalet at $175 per day, which is a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Lyden, second by Commissioner Houston. Further discussion? Lee?
Mr. Chair, just a comment, the fee schedule will have to be modified via public hearing, so this will be referring it to the
Just
public
to
hearing.
refer it to the,
Refer it to the
Correct.
public hearing. Yeah, I include
Fee
that in my
changes,
motion.
just for clarification.
Okay, Chris, you're okay with
Yes.
that too? Okay.
And then
that-
also, I forgot what I was gonna say about that out there. Okay.
Ditch 38?
Oh, no.
That's the city of Waverly.
Someday, Mayor, we're gonna, I think just as, before you leave office, maybe that's something you should leave for the next mayor. This will be available on our website to rent in the future once everything is approved, correct?
Correct.
That's what I wanted to add into there. So it'll make it easier for people that are interested.
Okay, so we have motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. And then you wanted to talk about the weekend snow removal?
Yeah, this is a change. Our park commission talked about this. This would be a change in what we've done in the past. We've never had snow removal in the wintertime in our park system. So if it snowed Friday, nothing got plowed until Monday, which, as the county continues to grow and our park use continues to increase, Mondays become more difficult because cars are packing everything down and we end up having icy conditions. I've had the conversation with my staff and they're all for it. What our goal would be is to take a sampling of parks. So Otsego Park would be one of them. We plow the paved trails there, very busy walking trails. Montissippi as well, paved walking trails. And then we'd remove the snow at those two parks. If we have 3 or more inches of snow by noon on Saturday, that's when we'd do it. If it snows afternoon on Saturday, then we'd just take care of it Monday. And the other thing we'd do is, since we do have a rental center out at Nye and we run a bunch of programs in the winter, we'd plow that parking lot, the trail up to the nature center, and groom the west side trails for our rental facility. We're looking at 4 hours of work for 2 guys.
Yeah.
Is what we're looking at. Budget implications are not that severe. I think this winter I can absorb it pretty easy. You know, I don't know how many times a year that's gonna happen, 3, 4, you don't know, snowfall, but I think it'd be good for our park users, and I think it'd be good, PR. Let those people get out there. A little higher level of maintenance.
Montissippi and Otsego, or you're currently doing
two
those?
guys to do.
Montissippi, Otsego, and then Nye and grooming the trails would be 2 guys for 4 hours.
Pretty
Total
good.
eight
Good work.
labor hours is what?
8 labor hours.
8 labor hours, okay.
Oh, okay. For a moment there, I thought they were gonna do it all in 4 hours.
That's what I
and
was
it's
thinking
like,
too at first, as I go, let me think about this.
Man, those guys are really fast.
Well, it now depends who we send.
Yeah, oh, okay. Obviously, it's not you then out there.
No,
Oh, okay.
And Mark, you don't need a motion for that. That was just,
I wanted to inform you that the park commission would like to do that, if you had any objections to it, because it could be a budget implication in the future if we have a lot of snow. I don't see us looking at raising our overtime because of it, because it's unforeseen. You're not gonna be able to guess that.
Mr. Chair, to recommend.
Just because it does have budget implications, it would probably be good to do a motion and a vote.
In
All
case
right,
it
so we
does,
will do a
Make a
motion for
motion
it
to
then.
approve the added 8 labor hours for the
Central.
snow plowing and grooming of the specified parks
Okay,
On the weekends.
on the weekends.
okay.
I'll
Motion-
second it.
Motion by Commissioner Vetz, second by Commissioner Delight. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Make sure, Mark, that we have this in the budget, for the budget talks about this, because the natural maturation of our park system, we're into that point where we need to have that ability for the weekends, and we're there now. Now, with Bertram Lake Park coming on, and everything else getting busier, we are there now.
We're getting there.
Well, we're there. We're not getting there, we're there.
Quit arguing.
Because our citizens are enjoying our parks quite a bit.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Okay, thank you.
Motion carries unanimous. Leah, you have done such a fantastic job on this, other than our Susan. Look at this. 9:35, our drainage inspector, Mike Young. Oh, you know what? Before you come up though, Mike, Mark? Oh, I said before you leave, I just also wanted to publicly thank and acknowledge Jerry Durst, who's kind of retired from the board and made room for some younger people. But he had served on the board from 2000, and I think all indications that I've gotten, he's from my district, that he's been a real good member out there. Would you concur, Mark?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So I want to thank him for his service to the parks and to the county. Thank you. Okay, Mike.
Good morning, Chairman,
Morning.
board members. I had sent the year-end drainage report to you earlier last week. I'm not exactly sure where you want to start on this, but the goals of 17 are listed there, and there's already been progress made on some of those goals. Again, this year, 30% inspection on the active systems. Currently, I'm at about almost 50%, and it's been 2 years plus that partial year when I was first hired, so I'm hoping kind of a 4 to 5 year inspection across the board on all systems, which, from what I understand, is kind of the expectation both from the state and from you as a board. There are some specific goals in there on things that I'm working on now. County Ditch 33, continuing to work on that to get at least that partial fix done on that system.
Can you kind of remind us what this one's about? Because you're working with MinDOT, is it by 12 or 25?
No, County Ditch 33 is, it's a very large, mostly closed system that runs from south to north, basically almost from Pelican Lake to the Mississippi River. So it crosses County Road 18, it crosses the railroad tracks, it crosses I-94 and goes through the city of Monticello almost to the Mississippi River. The system itself, by and large, is in very poor condition. We're putting Band-Aids where we can here and there. And the discussions with MinDOT are essentially, when they put in the freeway, they agreed to the upkeep of the system, part of the system that fell within their right-of-way.
Okay, so it's over.
Just like a county highway or the township
We'll make sure that
roads.
that's-
I'm having a little bit of difficulty convincing them of that. It hasn't gotten to the point where it's nasty at all. I think they're just dragging their feet.
Have we located all the closed system from 18 to the railroad tracks? Do we have a good idea where that pathway is?
Well, yes, we know where, no, I'll take that back. The closed system itself is difficult to map. So exactly if it's as it is on the map, no, that's not correct. When things were, the closed systems were added into the system, they used the geodata, and many of those closed systems are off by 200-300 yards in some cases. County Ditch 33 has been opened in several areas as part of Band-Aid fixes, which is what I'm doing with this project right now. It was originally closed, should go back to being closed at some point, but right now we're just trying to keep the water moving through that project area that I'm working on right now.
Did you get access on the railroad tracks then to get there to clean out underneath there through XL?
Well, it's surprising. Nobody wants to claim jurisdiction over that railroad tracks because then they would have to clean that culvert.
So it's not XL's tracks?
So in turn, what we did was notified XL and I can't remember which.
Burlington Northern?
Burlington Northern on that one.
I think it was Burlington Northern, essentially that we were going to use those tracks to bring an excavator out there to do the work. Well, neither one of them said anything at that point because they didn't want to claim jurisdiction over the tracks. So we did cut our hauling down quite a bit. The state wouldn't allow us to unload on the freeway. And the only other way was a couple of miles of trekking through there with an excavator. So by them first claiming no jurisdiction, we kind of turned it on its head. And when time comes that we are going to clean underneath there, at least we can bring something right out to there and cut the cost of that down significantly.
And Mike, are they on the benefited rolls, the XL or the railroad?
I can't say for sure right
Well,
now.
I mean, because if they are, they're not responsible to clean it. We would clean it and then just build a system, so.
Yeah, and I don't know, I know that I did look at that, but I can't recall how that
That's okay.
was played out.
So is it closed under 94 also then?
It was opened underneath 94 when the construction was done, and there is, I would think it's probably a 4-foot oval concrete tube going through there. That tube is great. My elevation checks show that it's correct. It's actually in the ditch area itself within the right-of-way. It's completely clogged up. And then underneath the railroad tracks, it is almost 3 feet of sediment in the tube running underneath the railroad tracks.
So it'll make a big difference just cleaning that out.
Yes. It's a significant deal, and I was only able to get one person to bid for cleaning that tube out underneath the tracks. Nobody wanted anything to do with it because of the location. How do you get a hydrojet there? Once you get it there, how do you get the sediment out? But I did have one bid. That bid was originally accepted, but then split into 2 phases, and it'll have to be rebid. That's my understanding. I'm not part of the administrative side of this.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mike, one of the issues you're going to have there with the railroad is a lot of those tubes that they put under there, rolled boilers
Yes.
with about a 1-inch lip, and as they separate all that big rock, goes down there.
Yes.
That's why the hydrojet doesn't work for that. You got to actually dig the thing out.
And that's how it was finally bid.
The one behind my house that we spent 14 years to get Burlington Northern to come out and do it, and I had to use a little hook and crook to get it going. They finally did. Nobody would bid it because when you're taking that 3 to 5 inch rock, the hydrojet doesn't work. You got to take it out of there by hand. And they just took the whole pipe out of there and replaced the pipe with a new one, because those old boiler pipes they had with the 1-inch lip, they separated real easy because they didn't think they'd ever have to come back to it. The new ones they have about a 4-inch that don't separate like the other ones. You
Okay.
probably have the same problem there. It's separated and all this stuff that's going down there. They just kept filling up until it finally sealed itself, and that's why you've got 3 feet of sediment in there.
And that would make sense. I wasn't aware of that, but that would make sense based upon what I've seen in there for sediment, because it wasn't rotted vegetative matter or silt. It was actually gravelly.
And you'll have a lot of big rocks in there, which will
Yeah.
keep the hydrojet from working.
It was actually bid for digging it out, either by a pull method or a push method with a basically well casing, putting larger and larger plates on, pushing with an excavator through, or pulling with a chain.
How big of pipe is that?
I want to say that's 36.
Oh, that's pretty small. We couldn't get Charlie in there then.
No.
Wouldn't work,
No, but it's a
even if I was
process.
younger.
It is.
And they don't move fast when they have to spend money on that track.
Well, I think, I wish I had the answer, Chair Burrell, on the benefited rolls list. I don't know it off the top of my head.
No, you know what, I was just mentioning Commissioner Delighten, if it is like a road, a township, city, whatever, they would be responsible for that section. That bill would not go to the ditch system at all, my understanding.
Unless it was privatized to XL.
Yeah, then,
But I can't get an answer from either Burlington Northern or XL,
maybe
like I
we'll
said,
just-
on who's responsible for it.
No, we'll do it and we'll send the bill to both. We gotta get it, I mean, we gotta do it.
Yes, it has to
And
be
and
clean.
then eventually it'll just get put on their taxes.
The other side of the phase, from 94 to 39, is the brush out of the actual, because that's all open on most of it on the north side.
94 to
239, the,
39.
yep, that's mostly open on that side.
It is mostly open. There's some conflicts within the records itself on whether that was originally supposed to be closed, whether it was just designed to be closed and built open, or whether it was opened many, many years ago due to problems. There is, like I said, the system as itself is like many of the systems across the county. It just hasn't been repaired and maintained. I do have one additional fix north of 94, about a half mile, where there's about 3.5 feet of water being held up at that point. I haven't done the elevation data on that particular one to see if that's holding up all the way to 94. It doesn't appear to be. It appears to be raising the level within those basins on the north side of 94 and probably greatly affecting the agricultural drainage in that area. So that will be a fix that happens this summer as well.
Are you
Another
gonna-
Band-aid fix.
You're gonna fix that side first, so that once the other side is done, that the water will have a free flow?
It's, I was unaware of the one north of 94 until I received a complaint, and that was, I can't remember the name. A couple of real good people there that have been there for a while. I had already bid out the 84th, Phase 1, and I'd already bid out the freeway stuff. Freeway stuff is being held off, so I can easily, if I can get in there, complete the one north of 94. The problem is that one is going to have a very short window. There's so much water in there. The hope is to be able to get in there in the summer with mats. Otherwise, we're going to have to wait all the way until next winter when it freezes, and we'll have to use mats then.
Assuming it freezes.
Yes.
Because this winter hasn't been very good for
Are we gonna
that.
get better water flow if we get the railroad track culvert cleaned out? I mean, isn't that gonna be a huge issue if we're still backing up on the north side then? Because it's going,
It will be, I don't think it'll exacerbate the issue much because of, and I haven't done the elevation checks. But like I said, it's not backing up all the way to the freeway. So the grade is enough where it's backing up into a large swamp area right now and into those holding ponds. So although there'll be, the water south of 94 will be released, it won't necessarily add any more to that area because the 3 feet that it's being held up is remaining constant. So it'll flow over that. It'll look just like it does now after the initial push. That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, just as long as we don't cause additional problems on the north side.
Exactly, yep. I do try and start at the outlet and work my way up, but many of these systems are Band-Aid repairs.
And Mike, I had two things, and one of them I know I've mentioned to you in the past is we really have to get working on our spraying program, and I'm glad to see that's on as one of your goals. I hope you keep working on that. And I don't expect you to be out spraying, but we need to get contracts in there with companies. I know Meeker, hopefully you contacted them because they do have a pretty good program there. So we need to emulate that or find somebody that's doing a good job and see how it's working. The other thing is, last year we had a meeting and you said you were gonna try on a ditch system, I don't know if it was out to the west, northwest a little bit, to go through the permitting process and you know, because you went to this meeting and said, yep, they'll work with you on this stuff, and you're gonna go ahead and give it a shot. Where did that end up? What ditch system was that again?
That was, I believe it was 18. It went from Mud Lake to the Crow River
Yeah,
on 35.
yeah,
I did not complete that permitting stuff. One of the things that I wanted to thank you for was legal assistance
Okay.
on this. With the county attorney being more involved, county attorney staff being more involved in this, I'm getting a lot better on how I should be handling this stuff.
okay,
One of the first meetings with Mr. Kreiser, we spoke about this particular system. And the particular system now is moving in the direction of reestablishing the original profile.
the as-built.
Because we
specs.
don't have a profile for it. Now, I think in dealing with you as a board, I was comfortable because there are hard crossings and it's a short system to check the grade on everything. Grade is correct. Okay, we'll dig to that grade and we'll be done. Legally, a profile, recreating the profile that's missing on that system might save money in the end through the regulatory agencies that will try and say, well, we don't believe you should be doing this. So, to answer your question, the permitting was halted. The planned work was halted until the profile could be completed.
Okay,
Once the profile is completed, it's unknown whether or not we would have to permit anything anyways.
okay. You might not even have to. So
Correct.
do you have like Houston or somebody working on doing the profile?
That's more the administrative side. I know that Houston has been contacted by the auditor's office. We did have a meeting. I had a meeting with the auditor, Mr. Kreiser, in the last week, 10 days? Okay. There we go. There'll be a lot of things coming next week that were discussed in the meeting that we had last week. Kind of a full plan of attack for how we're going to address these systems.
Okay. Good. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
So everything listed in red that you received there is all stuff that we discussed at that meeting, and I think it gave me an excellent roadmap. Again, I want to thank you for including, Mr. Kreiser in giving me the legal assistance that I need. I was really floundering there on how to address this stuff. And also, thank you for the contract for next year. I look forward to serving the members of the county again.
Okay.
Thank you for all
Thank
your
you,
hard
Mike.
work.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the report of the drainage inspector.
Second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Lyden, and I also want to say thanks for your hard work and being able to try to work these systems through, so. Anything else?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I want to make
Oh, go ahead.
a comment. Mike, I appreciate all you've done. Anybody in the county can look at these reports and make heads or tails of what's going on here. It's clearly stated what you're doing, what your goals are, what the next year action plan is. I mean, anybody that says Wright County's been ignoring their ditches, maybe they did before, but they aren't now. I mean, they're spelled out here real clear for anybody to see, and if they have questions and comments, in fact, I've referred a few people to you and to Commissioner Vetch, their district, on that particular ditch we were talking about, 33. And now I've got a better understanding what's there, so next time I get called, probably save you a call and have to repeat the same information again. But I do like how this format is laid out and how you're doing it. And I think it's been an asset for the county to have this addressed. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the support
Chris,
from the
you
board.
wanted to say something too, or?
I already said thank you, yeah.
Well, and I said, Chris has a ditch, when this starts to work, she has one in the weights, you know.
That one is also on the agenda for next week.
Okay.
That's
perfect.
part of our plan.
Okay.
And one other item, Mr. Chair, ditch 38 on the goals, it doesn't show giving it to Waverly in there. Give it to Waverly.
Is there going to be discussion? Should I be sticking around on that one, or is this an inside joke?
Inside joke.
Okay,
Yeah, and just be careful on how much you compliment that attorney, because it could go to his head, too.
It's been fabulous so far, so I'm going to go with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, anything else? Okay, all in favor of accepting the report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries unanimous. And we're off to Building Committee, Commissioner Potter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. The Building Committee met January 25th. Members Presidents Potter, Burrell, Kelly, Wilczek, Matthijs, Jobs, Stevens, Goodrum, Schwartz, and Kim Johnson. First item to discuss is the Public Works Deferred Maintenance and Remodel. It was basically an update to the projects, what's going on. Furniture was anticipated to be there by the end of January, the 30th, furniture the 31st. In fact, sometime today, I'm going to go out there and take a quick peek at that to see how that's come along. It should be really close to moving in now. My recommendation is just keep moving forward, and noted items included at the address change, because one of the things before was on Highway 25, and that's not completely accurate. It's got to get Braddock, so it's a procedure to go through to get the address change, and more to come on that. The next item was the recycling center. The tipping floor demolition. Wilczek provided updates on the status of recycling program to date. Say the roof system has been tied. Project is near complete. It's just punch list items, little cleanup issues there that they were getting. He was going to talk to the contractor, make sure that get taken care of. The pit sides, the top of the pit where the apron feeder was, the top is covered, but the sides aren't, because the tarp that was put on by Mr. Carlson didn't go all the way down. So it's just a matter of how we go forward with covering the sides on that. We'll have to come up with some kind of game plan. Al was going to talk with Mr. Carlson to see if he had any more tarps or something to put down the side of that and how we're going to connect that together. So that was just an update only. Third floor annex carpet. Wilczek say there was I approached them because I had been up there talking with members of the third floor of the Health and Human Service Department there, and talking with the Child Protection and some of the people there. Noticed a few stains that were kind of beyond just little things, and so I made the comment and I brought it forward. How we're going to deal with this, and so they had done the hallways and part of that cube area before, but they hadn't done the offices in those, and some are bad shape, some are not. But what I learned is that Mr. Wilczek and Mr. Kelly, the coordinator, had a plan already in place for carpet replacements, floors at a time, second floor, third floor, and all this. So when they brought that to my attention, it was it kind of made sense that they'd already been kind of addressing this, and I appreciate Mr. Wilczek for all the things he's been doing for us to keep this going forward. And the idea is when we get through the different things with the boardroom and everything else, the recommendation was to wait in third place, replacement of third floor private offices carpet until the next budget cycle, so we can assess the highest priority needs there, which to me made a lot of sense just to do that. And I didn't realize that we had any kind of game plan there, but we are aware of it now. So third floor help is on the way. It's just going to take a budget cycle, and like I say, we have a lot of deferred maintenance around here that needs to be addressed. And with that, Mr. Chair, that was the gist of the building committee minutes, and I'll make a motion to approve that. And there are no recommendations except for what was noted there.
Okay, thank you. So you had a motion to?
Yes, there was.
The recommendations too, okay.
I'll second it.
Motion by Potter, second by Commissioner Lyden. Any further discussion? Okay, no. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Good, the committee of the whole. The Personnel Committee, Leah, is this the one from January 25th?
Correct.
All I have is,
Yeah, and so maybe, I know I did not ask you, Chris, but
Oh, no,
I asked Mark, I don't know if you wanted to just go through it or
it's not,
Have Pat do it.
yeah.
Have Pat do it.
Pat,
Why don't you on down?
is that it? I mean, that's the ones
the
that are
one
in
that,
here.
all I have is
yeah, Mark was doing that
this.
one.
That's all I have. What do you have, Charlie?
This looks like,
This is-
it's like, it says January 25th there.
Well, obviously, Kowalski wasn't present.
Right, it was January 25th.
That's committee day.
Do you have 2 pages?
Yeah.
It's 2 pages, correct.
Here,
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
On January 25th, members present were Hewsome, myself, Commissioner Delight, not Swatsky. And I don't look like him, do I?
Better looking.
Oh, okay, thanks. What a nice guy. And Human Resources, Hesse. Others present were Kelly, Tagaro, Nelson, Goodham, Schwartz, Miller, Odell, Hoffman, Berg, and Haggerty. First item was request to hire telecom specialists above 12% of minimum salary range. They had received 5 applicants for the position, interviewed 4 of them. One finalist had withdrawn from consideration. The top candidate has 36 years of direct experience in the phone systems. Candidate requesting a starting salary of $71,000. Due to the specialized nature of the position, the committee suggested starting negotiations at $68,000 and up to a maximum of $71,000 if necessary. Social Service Reorganization, Michelle Miller provided information regarding the current structure of the Social Services Unit and the proposed structure with adding an additional Social Services Supervisor. Currently, the staff ratio is 14.5 direct reports, with some supervisors having as high as 16 to 17 direct reports. The next closest department in the county has 6.5 person direct reports. It's getting tough for a lot of things to get done, especially for training, especially to meet some of the DHS requirements. We're losing money because we can't get some of the things done because staff doesn't have the time to do it or enough time to spend learning how to get it done properly with supervisors. Miller presented 2 different options. One was to get rid of human services altogether. No, I'm just kidding. To add an additional social services supervisor to the unit. And hopefully you have you have the options with you. Option B was to reclassify a vacant mental health practitioner position to a social services supervisor position. However, this option reduces the number of licensed staff for clinical supervision, which we are already short on. And currently only 1 staff person in the mental health unit is licensed performing this responsibility. By adding the social services supervisors, we should improve some of the lost revenue of somewhere between $565 to $1,000 per client per month. So we'll be watching this very closely as this goes on. It's not in the budget, but this one should pay for itself. And with some of the reclassifications and shortages, it should not have an effect on the budget. So the recommendation was authorizing adding a new social services supervisor position and moving forward with hiring with the earliest start date of April 3rd. Request for temporary staffing. Jim Odell, technology supervisor at Health and Human Services. They have a current ISS staff that is on active military duty. Current military orders are that he will be done on March 31st, but there's a very real potential that it'll be extended through September 30th. And there's also another ISS vacancy due to internal promotion. So they're looking at hiring a potential temporary candidate on a short-term basis, and that was the recommendation, to hire a temporary employee to cover the military leave of absence. And then request to hire a deputy director of emergency management above 12% of minimum salary range. Chief Deputy Hoffman indicated that there were 3 applicants that passed the interview process. 1 candidate withdrew from consideration. The top candidate is currently employed at another county and has been in that role for 4 years. Candidate has experience with the 800 megahertz where the other candidate did not. There's very few people in the state certified, and he has a relationship with the community emergency management field. Sheriff Office currently works with an outside vendor to perform work with handheld and squad radios. This candidate has those skills to can actually do a lot of the repairs, certifications in-house instead of us having to send it out, which should be a savings around $18,000 per year, hopefully. So this candidate's skill set and certifications will allow the work to be performed in-house. So the recommendation was authorized starting wage of $30 per hour. And with that, I will make a motion to approve the minutes and all the recommendations.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Delight, second by Commissioner Houston. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. And technology, and Derek, I asked you to do
Yep.
that. You really weren't at the meeting, but
That's okay.
you can do it.
That's
Okay.
all right. I can get the good gist of the information here. IT committee on January 25th, 2017. Members present were Commissioner Dahliden, Commissioner Burrell, Adam Tagaro, Lee Kelly, Christine Bartlow, Virgil Hawkins, Sean Riley, Steve Job, Bob Hevela, and Mike McMillan. Others present were Sherry Nelson, Olga Strobel, Scott Larson, Jen Rassett, Jim Odell, Todd Hoffman, Ken Larson, Jason Crambler, and Brian sorry, I'm going to botch your name. Oslison. It's a mouthful, Oslison.
He's been called worse than that
I apologize
before.
for that. Items for discussion. They started off the meeting, and a good chunk of the meeting was discussed is the record and data management policy. It was discussed at length in about what should be maintained for logs, in which the accessibility for them. It was discussed and pushed over to be continued at this coming meeting this week on February 8th to continue this discussion. It was recommended that critiques be sent out to the department heads for input for further discussion on the February 8th IT committee meeting. Also discussed was the 911 Planning Committee. Was discussed as it was renamed, and it was discussed in the 3 phases of establishing a committee members.
Grammar police.
Pardon me? And second, Jason, it was also placed into it reviewing the current plan with the ECN to identify any needs and changes with the current plan. And the third step will be bringing it back to the committee for further review for the 911 committee for approval. The thirdly discussed was the Office 365. The county currently is using about 700 Office 2013 licenses, and the IT department is going to be looking at several different additional pieces of the current, the new Office 365, which is currently unavailable in the standard 2013 that we're currently using. Is hopefully to be integrated in phases moving forward.
Yeah, it will be starting out just in the IT, so that they'll actually be able to answer questions, find out all the problems that are occurred, so that their whole department will be able to answer and solve issues.
Was it discussed in kind of when the process will begin? And
Yeah,
just because it wasn't in there.
it will be, it will start in IT.
Okay.
And then it'll go off from there, but IT wants to get real comfortable with it, so that other people are fully trained on it, because Office 365 is gonna have some different functionality. One of the things is that, all the servers, there are currently 9 servers, that we will no longer need by switching over to Office 365. So there's a savings involved in that, along with man-hours for taking care of those 2. And then there's a The last one was project prioritization.
So, and that one on that page, for some reason, I'm missing
Oh.
here. And then, also discussed was the project prioritization. The IT department has made continued efforts in its task of streamlining projects and workload. There are currently 90 projects that the IT department has been tasked with. The department was able to close out projects while simultaneously taking on new ones, with the end project total still having been reduced below 100. It was apparent that there are several big items the department is tasked with, these projects being identified as large even from the outside of the department's perspective. The utilization of an effective project prioritization process and rating system is one of the useful steps in the successful and timely completion of these projects, which is going to be continued discussions in IT committees going forward.
Yeah, what it is, it's a little program that they set up that looks at impact on how many departments, the cost, savings, So if we implement this, what's the savings? It'll help us guide us into deciding which is the best, you get our best bang for the buck.
And what I was understanding is that this is actually kind of rating out which is kind of overlapped software between
Right,
departments.
also, it'll help define that sort of stuff too. So it's a good little program that they've got set up that will help us going forward, and it'll also eliminate some of the duplications and stuff.
I'll give you it back, yeah. I apologize, and a little bit of difficulty on summarizing. It's a little bit harder when I wasn't actually at the committee.
You did a good job for that. So, you want to make a recommendation then?
I will make a recommendation to approve the IT minutes from January 25th.
And the recommendations.
And the recommendations, yes.
So, motion by Commissioner Vetch,
I'll second it.
second by Commissioner Delight. Further discussion?
Yeah, Mr.
Commissioner
Chair,
Houston.
just a point of clarification under the 911 Planning Committee, presented by Jason Cramber, Sheriff. It probably should say Sheriff's
Jason,
Office,
yep.
Sergeant Jason Cramber, because he's not, so it doesn't look like we're
Yeah.
calling him the sheriff, so
Good,
Sheriff's
good.
Office.
Oh, sure. So.
Another item
And-
there too, there is an L in his name that we'll remove. So it's Cramber.
Right, it's just Cramber. Thank you.
The grammar police was all over that here.
And I did want to make a comment on that because that was brought up at the Emergency Services Board. And it was the counties with the Ws, I think it was us and Wilkin and something else. It was and I said, well, we're just working through the alphabet. But anyway, I did talk with Sergeant Cramber and he said they are very close to getting it done here too, so.
Good.
Okay. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries unanimous. Commissioner Houston, the Ways and Means Committee?
All right. The Ways and Means Committee met on January 25th, 2017. Members present, Burrell, Hewsom, and Kelly. Others present, Virgin, Hevela, Faith, Partlow, Goodrum, Schwartz, Dahl, Jans, and Asleson. And the first discussion was on the motor pool year-end report and vehicle status. And Assistant Coordinator Virgin presented the 2016 year-end report for the county's motor pool, which included the usage, cost allocation to departments, benefits, and goals. And there is a few sheets attached that kind of specify in detail what was used, et cetera. And Burrell suggested that the county only require the use of motor pool vehicles when the trip is more than 50 miles and that employees utilize their own vehicles and receive reimbursement for that mileage. There was discussion regarding the risk to both the county and the employee when using personal vehicles for business purposes. Virgin informed the committee that in both 2016 and 2015, the motor pool operated in the black, which was up from the prior year. And the revenues in 2016 were $223. There was also a savings of $3,055 by not having to reimburse employees at the higher rate of 50 cents per mile. The cost to operate the pool in 2016 was 17 cents per mile. In 2015, it was higher due to startup costs and some larger repairs. So the average between the 2 years was 38.5 cents per mile. And Hevela noted that the motor pool vehicles are fully depreciated. By adding new vehicles, the cost to operate is going to go up. Virgin stated that the motor pool was previously authorized to add additional vehicles that would come from the rotation of vehicles from the sheriff's fleet. However, they get worked pretty hard, so their highway department is recommending not using them. And it is recommended that the county look at the addition of Chevy Cruises to the motor pool. This would be consistent with the vehicle that they have at the Health and Human Services now. And Jan's informed the committee that there have been no repairs to the cruises, and they're at 80,000 plus miles. So that's a good indicator that they're really holding up well. It's much better than the Tauruses and the Impalas that are in the sheriff's fleet. And the cost of the Chevy Cruise through this state contract is $16,500, so it's pretty reasonable. And we briefly discussed the potential of standardizing the motor pool and having one person in charge rather than several departments operating their own fleets. So continue to work on that. And the committee requested the next motor pool include the administration time. So we get just maybe a more clarification as to what the actual cost is. So it might be a little more than the 38 cents. So the recommendation is to authorize the motor pool to proceed with the acquisition of 2 Chevy Cruises. The second item for discussion was a request for a vehicle purchase from Health and Human Services. Partlow stated that Health and Human Services is requesting approval to purchase an additional Chevy Cruze to replace the Crown Vic that went out of service in June of 2016. Information on their fleet usage from 2013 through 2016 was presented, and that's also included. And during those 5 years, Partlow stated that the operation of their fleet has averaged approximately 24.5 cents per mile. In other words, resulting in a savings of $189,000 by using the fleet as opposed to reimbursing employees for their personal vehicles at 50 cents per mile. And Goodrum Schwartz stated that Health and Human Services does require that trips of 50 or more miles, they must use a fleet vehicle, but it's optional for fewer miles than that. So the recommendation is to authorize the acquisition of 1 Chevy Cruze for the Health and Human Services. The third item was the fidelity bond limit, and Tim Dahl from admin explained that the fidelity bond is if employee dishonesty and faithful is for employee dishonesty and faithful performance of duty is for. Currently, the county has a blanket coverage of $50,000, and that's the minimum coverage required by state statute. And Dahl has received information that the county may have additional coverage under Old Republic surety, and he's doing some investigation on that. And the purpose of the discussion really was to see what we're looking at, what's the county's tolerance, and is $50,000 enough? According to state statute, that once the county's population exceeds 150,000, the fidelity bond coverage will need to be increased. And I think he said $100,000, Commissioner Burrell, or Chairman Burrell.
I think that's right. He was checking on that, but
They're checking on that.
Is 50,000 like the, it must be like the bare minimum?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
it's basically to cover employees, dishonesty and.
Malfeasance.
Yes, and we've been very fortunate. So anyway, we request that additional information be sought before we made a recommendation on if we wanted to increase or not. So the recommendation is to bring back the following information of Ways and Means for further consideration. Identify the exact coverage the county has and costs associated with that existing coverage, and identify additional costs if coverage were to be increased. So with that, Mr. Chair, I will make a motion to support the minutes and the recommendations.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Hewson.
Second that?
Second by Commissioner Vetch. And I did want to leave it in there, but I'll publicly redact my recommendation because Sue's not here today. She should be. But anyway, I made that recommendation kind of based on that Human Services does if it's over 50 miles, they use it, but less, they use the private. I would say if it's over, for sure use the the pool. If it's less, leave it up to Sue and the people, because they're running this thing so efficiently. I think a lot of trips, it wouldn't matter if it was 20 miles, they're saving money. At some point, though, there is
Right.
some administrative costs that outweigh the cost of the vehicle, and that's kind of where I was coming from. But I think my thing would be, they're doing such a good job, I'm just going to stay out of it.
And keeping, I think they're working on simplifying their requests for
Yeah.
for the vehicles and that kind of thing. And
My point
perhaps
was
some
if-
people, yeah,
If somebody was going to drive to, 5 miles.
right.
Let's say you're going to save $2.50 by using the motor pool car, but it's going to cost you, 15, 20
time.
minutes to
Yeah.
get it. It doesn't make sense. But they are using, everything I see, they're using great discretion already on that. So I'm going to stay out of it.
Well, I would hope also that Health and Human Services don't drive like the deputies do. Not that the deputies drive bad, it's just they have,
Respond.
they have a little bit more of a pressing need out there, so.
Mr. Chair.
And Jamie, I mentioned this to my wife, she's in fleet leasing, that's what she does. And she said that Chevy Cruze is a fantastic car for fleets. It's just, it has one of the best records out there, so.
Yep, and good fuel
Not a-
economy too.
I'm not a Chevy guy, but I hate to, I can't argue with it, so.
Mr. Chair, another thing I'd like to, the minutes and the recommendation are fine, but subsequent reports to this, I would like to have capital costs included in those reports. The cost of buying the car on top of just maintaining it or running it.
And that's,
It
yeah.
says 24.5 cents per mile. I mean, but if you're really gonna see the total cost, you need to put the capital cost
And
in.
maintenance, too.
What it costs for buying that vehicle, depreciating out over that schedule.
Well, I think they
That
did
needs to
have,
be-
It was 16,000 something for each one, wasn't it, for
I
the
question
cruises?
whether I see a full
16.5.
deal on that, though, Mark.
Yeah, so
No,
33,000
it's
for the two.
16.5, but Commissioner Potter's right, the math isn't, Jamie, I think that is including fuel costs and maintenance, but probably not
Well,
the purchase, right?
Capital.
Insur-
I'm hard pressed to see the cost of each one of those vehicles, depreciation schedule sitting in here. And that gives you a clear picture of what it costs, okay, because 24.5 cents per mile, people say, oh my God, look how much we're saving. But you need to add in capital cost
Yeah.
to that to get a true picture.
Yeah,
I'm gonna talk with her on that one, because I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing that in here.
We'll find out about that, but yeah, that would be an interesting thing, so.
Pretty thorough, and I think in the discussion, she had said that was our all-in cost.
yeah,
I'll check.
yeah. I believe that's true.
And
Yes.
then if they,
Very economical for us to operate. I'll have to
Yeah,
yeah, because in 2014, the actual cost per mile was quite higher.
Yeah.
And that would have included when we bought our first 3 cars.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, because there was purchase of 55, and in 2015, it was a little bit lower than 2014. Because you had purchased, looks like 2 cars in 2015. So,
okay, sounds good.
Anyway,
Any-
yeah, it's-
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries unanimous. And we are down to a resolution for accepting a donation from UMC of Monticello.
I'll make a motion to accept the resolution, accepting the donation for the Sheriff's Department from UMC in Monticello.
I will second that.
Okay, and then Lee, can you just add to the resolution to also just of Monticello? Or Monticello, Minnesota, however you want it. So people realize it's a company from our county, doing a great job. Okay, motion made and second for the resolution. Derek, you want to start it off?
Aye.
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 I was waiting for me to say something. Oh, that's good. Okay.
You getting tired, Charlie?
No,
Need a break?
I probably could use a nap. Okay.
You ate a donut?
And then a resolution, a letter supporting House File 113 and Senate File 85. And Lee, can you just explain a little bit what these are?
Sure, I can talk a little bit about it. There's a House bill and a Senate bill currently in motion related to, in City of Becker and the Sherco Power Plant. From the Sherburne side, they had sent letters to their representatives looking for, trying to build some support for the purpose of repurposing that facility. And so it was approached at putting it on for Wright County to also add on their support to that initiative, and had directed it to the authors of the respective bills in both the House and the Senate on that.
And it sounds like they're doing a good job there. They've been real good partners for our community, I know, and supplying quite a few jobs as well. So I would be supportive of it. I don't know where the rest of the board is, so.
I think absolutely we should be showing our support in this. It's a,
I'll make a motion supporting the resolution in support of Minnesota Senate File 85 and Minnesota House File 113.
Okay, and then Lee, you'll just come up with the verbiage kind of similar to what they have here at the,
They handed one out already.
Correct. We had drafted
oh, okay, I didn't,
That's that piece I gave you
a
before.
separate
Okay, got
version
it.
that was
Okay.
added later.
okay, perfect.
Just for clarification, the draft we put together was directed to the two bill authors in the House and Senate respectively, but we can certainly either add there or CC our representatives for Wright County.
I think you should
Sure,
CC our
CC,
representatives,
yeah.
absolutely.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Hewsom, right?
Yes.
Okay, second by Commissioner Vetch. Resolution here, Mike, so you want to start it off this time?
Aye.
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 Okay, resolution's unanimous. And advisory committee, advisory boards update. Does anyone want to start off?
I'll start out.
Go ahead, Lee.
Mr. Chair, the beach report, the beach is still there in Florida. The seafood was excellent down there. It was 70s and up to 80 at the end there, and sunny pretty much the whole time.
Sounds like you brought a cold back.
Everybody's got a cold right now.
Got a grouper sandwich while you're down there, right?
Oh yeah, plenty of those.
Okay, and Commissioner Hewsom, did you have anything?
Well, I was at the Central Minnesota EMS meeting at the end of January, and there's the critical incident team was sent out between January 1st and December 31st, 2016. They had 30 call-outs and involving things like accident with death of a child, and other. And Wright County was the recipient of 2 of those critical incident teams coming out, and so it's good. They only are basically paid mileage, it's volunteer, and they really help the responders that are dealing with some pretty traumatic incidents. The 2015-2017 actual versus projected seatbelt revenue is down. The actual, they're projecting that it would be 133, over 133, or excuse me, almost 60,000. It's actually just over 133,000. So it's only 84% of what they're projecting. So we're looking at other ways to get monies to support the training and equipment for our local fire departments, et cetera. Legislation out there to increase penalties for obstructing emergency responders, people that are, get in the way of emergency responders. They're also looking for additional monies at the state for the EMS regions, and medical assistance rate increase for ambulance services. A lot of these rural areas just have a local ambulance service, and they just have difficulty with money. They don't have the money for them. And so lots of stuff going on with the EMS. The Central Minnesota Mental Health, Commissioner Vetch was welcome to his first meeting, and we got our board committee And we have the Executive Committee, the Finance Committee, the Personnel Committee, the Governance Committee, and Facilities. And Commissioner Vetch, you're on Finance, and are you also on Personnel? Or I thought you were added to Personnel, but no.
I think we end up being,
That's right.
Lisa Fabi, I think, ended up
Okay,
going to
you're right,
personnel.
yep. So you're on the Finance Committee, and I appointed to the Governance Committee and continue to be on the Personnel Committee, so. Otherwise, yeah, they're have their strategic plans going, and we'll be continuing to move forward and, you know, do the best job we can up there.
Okay. And Chief Deputy Hoffman, would you be able to come up? I might have a question or two. Come on. You were kind enough to stick around for a minute.
Thanks for playing.
The Emergency Services Board meeting on January 25th, we had talk about the text to 911, and it's kind of in process. And I think Mille Lacs County is going to be one of the first test things.
Pilot, okay.
Pilot-like, yep. And this is going to be one of the first, I mean, in the nation. I mean, I'm like, so couldn't we go to some other state and see how they're doing it? But this really is going to be one of
Cutting
the
edge.
first in the nation. But some of the things they said, and I don't know if we want to jump in this right away, because then, like, Mille Lacs dispatch is going to get overwhelmed because somebody from Meeker County will text, it will go to Mille Lacs. Mille Lacs will have to call Meeker, and Meeker do the dispatch, so it's going to take some extra work. So, but they had something they said that's going to be required for the text to 911, and I don't want to put you on the spot, Chief Deputy, but it was called SIP, Session Internet Protocol. Is that something, do you know if we have that, or maybe you could check?
Say that one more time.
It's SIP, Session Internet Protocol. And then the other thing was Viper, and I understand we do have that. So I think the people up there seem to think that Wright County was you know, poised to be right on the doorstep with this, you know, so. But I think it's going to be a real benefit to people in certain situations. And then down the road will be where somebody could report an accident, snap a picture, text that to, and this initially will not have that, I understand. But then so the people at dispatch can see, gosh, we need more than one ambulance. We better dispatch right away.
Yeah.
So there's things, or you take a picture of a fire. Is it smoke coming out the window, or is the whole house engulfed, you know? So there's some things down the road that will be even better. But Chief Deputy, we do have that Viper, that's, I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, with regard to the internet protocol, that's something that we'll have to work with Adam Tagara on IT to make sure if that's going to be a requirement. If we don't have it, what would it take to
get
get
it and
spooled
stuff,
up
too.
for that, so.
Add that one to the IT stuff maybe, so.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Chief Deputy, appreciate that. And that's really about all I had up there. There was other things, but that was the biggies. Last night at the Fair Board, I did mention to him that County Road 6 will be under construction, and I talked with Steve, help me out,
Meyer?
Steve Meyer, and he said that they will try to have that done before fair, you know, so, because I said it would be a big inconvenience. And I have to talk with Virgil or Steve, but they were wondering if it would be possible at that time to maybe get a turn lane coming from the north, a turn lane to go into the fair, a blacktop, so. And then maybe a little bit, maybe a little bit longer apron going in, you know, so. That's some things that I'll mention to them, but other than that, the fair is everything's going good there. And then I had a real good meeting, actually it was after the meeting, had a good meeting with the Central Minnesota Council on Aging. My problem has been, and I've talked about this before, we don't seem to get, we're getting the meals, you know, Meals on Wheels, the conjugate dining, but there's some other services that we're not getting. And I kind of figured out what it is with Great River Faith in Action going defunct, we don't have a provider. It's not that Central Minnesota provides these. They have to work with a provider. They got no one in our southern part of the county to even bid on this. So it's kind of going to be maybe incumbent on us a little bit to get some provider to come forward. I did talk with Jay at Wright County Community Action, and they're going to put it on the planning committee because there are some of these that provide the different services are provided by through the Wright County through the community actions in their counties. Things like where to keep people in their homes, they call it chore. It would be like heavier things like cleaning gutters and things like that that an elderly person might not be able to do anymore without risking. And then there's some transportation things. Homemaker would be light duty things, maybe doing some vacuuming and cleaning, and then some support planning, case management. Those are things that if we can work it out together and find a provider down here, it would be a lot more services that our seniors would be availed to. So that's all I had. Mark?
In the interest of time, I'll just pass.
Derek?
I'll make it quick here.
Thank you.
Commissioner training, January 25th and 26th. A lot of good information just on the structure, counties, and kind of showing the differences and kind of what the trends are going for the governances of counties, and kind of some information on the initiatives down at the legislature. We was at the Central Minnesota Mental Health on the 30th with Christine, which I won't have to finish. She'd give a good synopsis of that. I attended the Safe Schools meeting in Rogers on February 2nd, which was really fortunate to attend. A lot of information following up from the accident. Lots of praise on the communications between the sheriff's office and the schools. They felt like in such a crisis point in time that they couldn't have had better lines of communication. So, which was a real good, pat on the back to all those involved in that. The students are going forward. It's still going to take a lot of time to kind of know how that's going to shake out there.
I think they were talking, one of them might be going back to school
Yeah, one of them,
today.
one of them,
I thought it was today.
yeah, I think Ian is supposed to, but they were, at the meeting, they were starting that process, I believe it was. That should
Yeah, it was on the news last night, I believe it was.
Yep.
That one of them would be actually going back to school today or tomorrow.
Which
I
is
remember.
fantastic for the amount of injuries that they sustained.
Yeah.
Also, okay.
I was just saying, the other one that they were going to start integrating, the third one, it's going to be a while.
Yeah. Also presented was Central Minnesota Sexual Assault Center made a presentation at the Rogers Safe School, just on some of the services that they could provide to the district, which encompasses kind of the Otsego part of the county for us. Also on February 2nd, I attended the East Central Regional Juvenile Detention Center in Lino Lakes. We discussed the financials, which roughly yielded a surplus of about $153,000. Which we unanimously voted to put back into operational and capital reserve funds for future use. The facility is at a high usage now, some of the highest usage it's had in the last 2 months in prior history. It's running at close to full capacity, so that's great to see, which helps all of our per unit membership share to keep the cost low on that side going forward, hopefully, if it continues at that rate. There's capital improvements are putting in this year of new cameras down there, which was kind of planned out years prior. In 2017, we'll complete a bond payment of $1.8 million. Paying off this bond will require a small increase in payments to accommodate a small remaining balance of roughly $30,000 this year. So we'll have a little bit higher this year, but that bond then will be rolled off, which is also going to be a possible, which should yield a per diem adjustment in the future. So another additional savings there as well. Meeting was concluded with a good tour. I really appreciated getting kind of walk through the facility. I encourage anybody that gets an opportunity to go out there in that meeting. It's a great venture that we are involved with to be able to take part with. It cost us a nominal amount of money for what we get out of it. It's hugely great venture.
Well, I'm glad they let you back out.
I know. They didn't keep me in there.
I mean, you're young enough where they could,
You never know.
Sneak
They
you in
can
there.
blame me in there, especially if I shaved. Bertram Chain of Lakes Advisory Committee was on Friday, February 3rd. We set dates for review of the RFPs for the beach house construction. We reviewed maintenance agreements for undeveloped land with the, outside the, or inside the park, for the Holkers to be putting some crops in. It was, I'm
Yep.
not actually sure what it was, the exact crop was, but
They switch off.
They switch off.
Beans and corn.
discussed a letter of support to be sent to the board here for a grant of roughly $80,000 for recreational trail grants. Reviewed a possible design for a commemorative display for the timeline for the acquisition of the park. Discussed possible options to work with Clearwater Outfitters in offering rental for canoes, kayaks, and paddle boards, which is kind of in favor of the board to do this on a monthly basis or a bi-weekly basis. They're still going to work with the outfitters to drop an exact agreement on it, but it'll be kind of a designated times with like 6 throughout the summer with
Yeah,
possible.
they're heavily promoted, just so that people have an idea, instead of them
What's out
at
there.
at the point of being out there all the time. We didn't want them to get cold feet right away, till it gets built up out there. So,
And then we just also agreed to move forward with a graduate student in working in completing his graduate studies project and creating a logistical signage and displays for the park. There's no cost to the county in this. It's just a matter of whether we'd want to implement it. Then at that point, there may be some cost involved.
and it was also interpretive signage.
Interpretive signage, that's what it was. Logistical interpretive signage.
Okay, and right after this meeting, we are gonna have committee of the whole.
Can we take 10?
We can take 10, yep.
Ten?
So, no, we'll go at, so 10:40. We'll start that, and it will be regarding the
10:50.
master space study. What's that?
10:50.
Excuse me, 10:50.
It's 10:40 now.
Okay, with that, it's actually 10:42, we're adjourned.